Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts. Today we're back in the lab. As you can see, the potting table has got dirt and mayhem going on. And today we're going to talk about this potted herb right in front of you. Now, this plant actually is something you don't see very often in gardens, and you should. Its scientific name is Clinopodium douglasii, or its common name is Yerba Buena. Now, some of you eagle-eyed folks remember in the last season, I covered another Clinopodium, which was Wild Basil, which it turns out is native to Missouri. Well, this one is native to California. How about them apples? USA natives, baby. That's where it's at. Now, it is ultimately in the mint family, which means also the wild basil is too, which means technically this is distantly related to traditional mint, and that while basil, because basil is in the mint family, overall it's in Lamiaceae, means that they're all related. So that gives you an idea of what traits you can reasonably expect from them. Usually the identifying feature of something in the mint family is square stems, and the term is used loosely. In nature there is not a perfect, hard-edged square. Doesn't happen. The stems are basically square because they have what can be described as a roughly square stem with rounded edges. So it's a smooth square. Smooth. Menta suave. Well, now this one used to be called Satyregia douglasii. Now Satyregia, also in the mint family, is the scientific name of the savories. How about them apples? Now this is also a savory herb, go figure. So you can use it to replace other savory herbs in cooking, or you can make a tea out of it. Now, as I said, it's native to California. Its USDA zones are 5 through 8. Its soil pH preference is 6 to 8, which is pretty good in the alkaline scale if you ask me. Its exposure is partial shade to shade. Now, in the test gardens, I have it close to the building and behind a row of taller pots with much taller things in it, so that it gets full shade. But as you can see, these branches, it's acting like a mint. And believe me, when you rub those leaves, the scent is kind of amazing. I'm really digging this rapid growth. I thought it wasn't going to do anything for a while, and I thought I would have to hold on this video. But this Yerba Buena is just like, nah, I'm growing. Which is okay. I love it when plants cooperate. It's fabulous. So, its height is 2 to 4 inches, and its width can be 5 to 6 feet per plant. Which is why you would grow them in masses, and I suppose let them trickle down in between rocks in a hilled rock garden, or let them dangle out of planters, or raised beds maybe? These are my theories. This plant is a specimen, so it's going to stay in that pot for a little while until I decide where the best spot in the test gardens for it will be. That's a process that sometimes takes more than a year for me to figure out, because other stuff happens. Now, it has other names like savory mint and Yerba Buena, which basically means the same thing. Yerba Buena means good herb, and that basically means the same thing. It's just with a different Spanish dialect, as I recall. Now, it has some history attached to it, because, let's face it, all good herbs have a history attached to them. For starters, it is a deciduous perennial, so no, it didn't die in winter. It might not have died in winter. Wait and check to see if it sprouts from the roots. Now, here's the history part. Modern-day San Francisco used to be called Yerba Buena up until 1846, when it was seized by the USA during the Mexican-American War. The name was changed to San Francisco in 1847, a year later, which is interesting that San Francisco... Now, there are some places, I believe there is a Yerba Buena Island and a few other things with the name in that area. So, the name sticks around, sorta? I think that's kind of cool that San Francisco could have been named after good herb. Well, I mean, I guess it's a missed opportunity. Well, its scent is said to be similar to spearmint. I wholeheartedly disagree. This thing does not smell like spearmint. I have spearmint out in the test garden, Kentucky Colonel variety to be precise. And that smells more like Wrigley's. This smells nothing like that. It is kind of a savory aroma. It's not quite sage, it's kind of savory, maybe a little tarragon action going on there. It's hard to describe. Now, the leaves can be used to make tea, which I've already mentioned, which, I mean, it must be an interesting tea. I imagine it, not just tea, but you could probably use it to really punctuate some broth. Like make some really good bone broth action. It is a culinary herb, and as I said before, it's used as a replacement for several other herbs, much like the wild basil, sort of oregano and basil at the same time. Or, no, it's thyme and basil at the same time. That's a weird pun. This one is sort of savory, so it's savory and sort of sagey, maybe basilish. Again, I'm going to keep guessing. I'm probably going to get it wrong. Everybody's going to taste this one different, I'm sure. It's like that controversy on that dress last year on the internet, which was really dumb. Now, lastly, it is used in Native American folk medicine. Now, in terms of you, if you're going to use this to try to treat something, I recommend consulting a qualified professional before you do. Last thing you need to do is use this and then it turns out your feet fell off or something. Can't be having that. That's why I always have these disclaimers, folks. Now, that's the facts about Yerba Buena. Now, I mean, this is a pretty plant when you look at it, and yes, that's the pointy stick of destiny. You can see it's branching. I do not know if it'll germinate in, not germinate, if it'll take root in water like true mints do. We're going to test that eventually when this specimen's big enough. But for the time being, it's just in this pot rocking in a free world. In fact, right there, I'm going to zoom in on that. That's interesting. Right here, it appears to be preparing to bloom. Interesting. None of the literature I read about this plant said that it has much of a bloom or a bloom at all. Some of them exclude that information completely, but it looks like it's fixing to bloom. So expect an update on the blog, if possible pictures, and you'll see soon enough. Otherwise, if you like this episode, hit the like and subscribe. If you know anything about using it medicinally or you have a recipe for using it culinarily, just leave a comment. Let me know if you like this episode. Please hit up the blog, and as always, folks, keep them growing. Thanks for watching.